Welcome to M Squared TechCast.
Hey, it's Mike Brennan.
Hello.
And Matt Roush.
Hey.
Adjusting
Hey,
his
TK.
headphones. Hey, TK, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
All right,
We're good.
We're running just a couple of minutes late, but we're getting
worries.
back on track here. So we have calling in from Lansing. We have TK Eppley, who's the new Chief Operating Officer for Supported Intelligence, which is an artificial intelligence company that was created by Patrick Anderson and his group. And TK just came on board, about a month or so ago?
Middle of September.
Okay.
So TK, start us off with, for people who are not familiar with you, let's hear a little bit about your background.
So I was a SEAL, U.S. Navy SEAL for 20 years. Near the end of my time there, I got back into technology. And once I left that, I went to work for successively what I believe to be more interesting tech companies. A lot of that's based on what you learn at one place, you can go apply somewhere else. And with that, I got increased responsibility, and I've built big to small, or small to big, and then I've done a lot of consulting work with big companies as well. Patrick and I met each other when we were on a trip in Turkey, and we just hit it off. And he had a need, and I felt that he was an interesting and nice gentleman, and so here we are working together.
Now, does he have you wearing a bow tie yet?
No, I am decidedly not a bow tie person.
Ah, okay. Well, that's Patrick. He always has colorful bow ties.
Which actually it works out, right? Because you need a little bit of everything to be successful.
Yep, that's right. So let's talk a little bit about supported intelligence. It's certainly something we've talked about before on the show. Patrick's been on the show, but it's been a few months, actually more than a few months, I think, since we talked about it. So a lot of folks may not understand what it is. Why don't you bring us up to speed on that?
Okay, supported intelligence is more of an outcropping of Anderson Economic Group. Throughout the years, as Patrick's done, the consulting work he's done, that I'm sure your viewers or your listeners have heard, the need to have better fidelity of data, especially as, from what I heard from your previous guest, is, as we start to get more and more data available to us, how do we accurately interrogate that and make good decisions? And I think at one end of the spectrum with supported intelligence, you look and you have this big mass of data that, basic data analysis, keyword pickers and things that we just basically give the machine, hey, look for the X amount of things, and then they go beat the data up until it says uncle and they get the data. And then on the extreme other end, you have true artificial intelligence, right, which is moving and making things and learning on its own to help make things easier for humans. We fit somewhere in the middle in what we've termed to be decision intelligence. We want to help organizations, people, entity make better decisions. And we can do that algorithmically with some of the IP that's been created in the past with Patrick and his guys, and some of the stuff that we're looking forward to doing now to help the decision process from a technical standpoint look more like the way humans make a decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things we were just talking about is an extreme example of artificial intelligence with the Chinese. I'm sure you're familiar with what they're doing, but facial recognition everywhere for everything it's like it's gone completely in a much different direction.
Well, I think one of the humorous things, and I am somewhat of a cynic now with most things when it comes to technology, that there's, a big challenge on Facebook and social media called the 10-year challenge. Right, show us a picture of you 10 years ago, show us a picture of you now, and then we have this little fun tool where you can imagine yourself being 10 years older.
No thanks.
Right, and that's a big thing on Facebook and all the social media right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start with the premise of what the Chinese in particular have been doing with facial recognition, and then you say, hey, by the way, just for fun, go give us as many old pictures as you want to show how you've aged, and then we're going to be predictive about where you're aging, and now we're going to have that on file. So 10 years from now, when we do it again, we'll actually see how that compares with the data we collected by imagining or mathematically modeling what you should look like in 10 years.
Not sure I'd want to see that. But,
Yeah, sure, making their job easier.
yeah,
That's for
absolutely,
sure.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think to a lesser extent, it's employed around the world. I mean, London is one of the most surveilled cities electronically in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have over 300,000 cameras in downtown London alone.
Mm-hmm. CATV.
So where do you see the business market going for the kind of decision intelligence that you folks provide?
We have and have existing customers that are in franchising industries that you're helping them make better decisions about where to locate their franchises, how to discriminate the model density of franchising, and certainly we can go on pricing strategy. From that pricing strategy, because pricing strategy isn't isn't binary, all right? And when you start talking about providing consulting and implementation for all of that, you want to take the zero-sum game out of it, where the traditional business analysis for franchise industry presumes any gain for you is a loss for your competitor. But if you're talking in a territory, you not only have competitors, but you also have other locations that you as a franchisee may own. And how do I separate those far enough so that we can get a true accrual of which customers are ours, as an example? AEG, Anderson Economic Group, has used these tools, excuse me, within the auto industry for franchisees, and to prove or disprove what people have said one franchise has done to another and things like that. As we start looking forward, we have the ability to integrate this with applications that we either have the IP on or are working on the IP to change what is largely a 50 to 70-year-old linear model for deterministic path with regards to logistics and supply chain. To be able to look at a global problem of moving things from A to B. And I think the one thing people don't really think about on a day-to-day, we think about FedEx, we think about UPS and things like that, but the big bucket in the world is global shipping. Mm-hmm. It's still relatively, I mean, imagine, that it's cheaper right now to build things offshore in a lot of cases and bring them here, thousands of tons at a time on a ship, and then tractor them across the country or wherever they need to go. And it still becomes a relevant and cost-effective way to transport. But as we start moving into the next century, deep into the next century, all of these terminal facilities are looking to automate. What do we know about containers? Right? What we knew about containers 20 years ago wasn't that much. What we know about containers now is we know relative humidity, temperature, if they've been dropped, what impact Gs they dropped at, and all of that relevant information, where they're at in any given place and time. In a lot of cases now, we don't enjoy, we don't enjoy a labor advantage in pricing by having stuff made offshore. What we enjoy is a manufacturing advantage. There's very specific types, and I think, like, if you look at iPhone, the reason iPhone isn't built here isn't because there's a big discount for having it built in Foxconn in China from a labor perspective. They have very exacting training for the type of labor it takes to build that phone and build that widget, so to speak, in a very exacting, concise manner. And so we have to get competitive elsewhere. And the places where they're looking to do it is in logistics of getting it from A to B. And if you look at if you take into advantage the IoT piece of it with sensors and everything like that, and then you say, hey, how are we going to make these little tractors that are now trucks in a lot of facilities with people running around the terminal facilities to deliver and get things out to the marketplace? And so with modernization, what they're doing is embedding, magnetic tracks and things like that in there, and then every vehicle is autonomous. In fact, the Port of Rotterdam is the leader in this, and they're already looking at their next generation of what they're doing. What we say is that we can come in there and help you make better decisions on how to build that and how to set it up, and then after that, how to manage it so that you're taking less steps and getting more for those steps.
Okay. We got a few minutes left, so we probably should talk about a fun way that you guys are using AI called Smart Bracket. I think it's been 4 or 5 years now that Patrick's been doing that, and it helps you crush your NCAA basketball pool, and everyone wants to do that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
In fact, this year, that's the big thing we're working on right now. We are doing some redesign, both under the hood and out at the app end, that will not only allow you to continue to make what Forbes says is the best way to pick your bracket, but also make it more enjoyable. You have 64 teams, and what we do is upload all the data in the back end to everything you ever wanted to know about those 64 teams, but we're afraid to ask, so to speak. And then we ask you questions, and it's somewhat deterministic based on your preferences and based on who you like, what you like. We help you pick the best bracket based on that. And
that'll be, well, of course, it will be March when it comes out, but we'll be talking about that a bit more as you guys develop that. Now, is there going to be any, like you say, a new twist this year? It's going to be even better than it has been in years past?
It will be, but because it's going to be better under the hood, so to speak. As the output is the output, right? You're going to get a bracket of 64 teams, but we are getting better at how we want to analyze the data, how we present the data, and then we are in process of trying to add some news features and things in along on the app to help everybody follow along with what goes on.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the show here, so why don't you give the contact information, how folks can find out about not only what's going on with supported intelligence, but with the Anderson Economic Group as well.
You could reach us on social media at Supported Intelligence, and Smart Bracket IO is the website, and Smart Bracket on social media, and then SupportedIntelligence.com. And then for everything you'd want to know about Anderson Economic Group, you can go to AndersonEconomicConsulting.com.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, TK
All right,
Eppley.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being with us today. TK Eppley, COO of Supported Intelligence in Lansing.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.